Good afternoon, everybody. I am Ward 4 City Councilman David Koss, and I want to thank you all for attending here today. This is the landmark dedication ceremony for the Satter Homestead and the Buer Homestead. I want to thank Hans and Judy Kunzel, who are here in the front, and George and Polly Surata, who are here as well too, for bringing their homes forward to be formally dedicated. And while they are legally the owners of the homes, they also need to be looked at as the current caretakers of the home. These homes have been there for over 100 years and then some, and they are the current owners, occupiers of them. But because of the care that they have put forward into them, and this step that they're taking today, these homes will be here for many generations to come. They put a tremendous amount of time and care in rehabilitating these, and their tireless devotion has guaranteed that these future generations will be able to love and admire these homes as much as the previous ones did. These homes are more than just brick and mortar. They're a part of the fabric that makes Avon Lake the amazing city that it currently is, and it reminds us of the sleepy little town that we once were. When you lose your past, your history, you also lose your identity. And thanks to Hans, Judy, George, and Polly, Avon Lake's identity and history will remain for future generations. Today, the Satter Homestead and the Buer Homestead have joined an elite status shared by our other designated landmarks: the Peter Miller House, the Folger Home, the Lakeshore Cemetery, the Dunning Home, and the Hubbard Dirk House. Hans, Judy, George, and Polly, welcome to the club.
First with Hans and Judy's house, which was the original Satter Homestead, established in 1857. They were owners since 1968. The house is built out of fieldstone, and I was amazed in looking at the program and then talking to Judy of the nature and the efforts that have gone into it. Hans would go out and actually collect fieldstone from farmers' lands and replace it, refit it with crumbling stone and mortar on the exterior, and they completely restored the inside of the home. In fact, Judy said she was living for a while without a roof in the house. So,
5 months.
Can't appreciate that effort and that work enough. In the case of George and Polly, their home was in 1874. We've had a number of pronunciations on this. The Buer Homestead, I hope I have that right, and I've lived in the house since 1986. The house is a vernacular farmhouse and has a basement, a foundation of fieldstone with hand-sewn beams and cellar doors on about 1.3 acres. I was interested in the word vernacular because I wasn't really familiar with it. And basically it's a design based on local needs available at the time of construction materials. And it also deals with how the home was built by local builders and traditions at that time. So it's based on what they had to use, what materials they had to use, what materials were available in the area. The importance in that, and with the dedication of these homes, I think, is that it reflects the environmental, culture, technology, and economic and the historical context of Avon Lake.
I am pleased to have you all here to celebrate the historic dedication of these 2 homes. I would like to introduce the commissioners to you and ask them to stand as I call their name. Glenda Lee Burns, Gail Calkins, Cheryl Lister, and unfortunately Daniel Clifford is out of town and couldn't be with us, so you guys can sit down. And also to acknowledge Michael Shervin, who is the liaison with the Planning Commission, and David Koss, who is our advisor, so to speak, and liaison with Council. It is the Commission's mission to research and identify potential historic sites. In 2016, 33 sites were identified being built before 1900, and letters were sent to the owners asking whether they would consider historic designation if their properties qualified. Of those, 5 have either been designated or in the process of being designated, and a dozen others are currently under consideration.
Whereas the house dates back to 1874 as shown on an atlas map and was built of fieldstone and hand-hewn beams, and whereas the house is the third oldest house on Walker Road, and at one time had been used as a dance hall, a tavern, a store, and a private home, and that's not here, but we all know what it was. Whereas historic, not lately. Gives residents of our community a deeper sense of understanding and appreciation of Avon Lake heritage. Thank you for joining this group.
Thank you.
One of the things that I discovered when my granddaughter and I were making the picture board, I don't know how we lived for 23 years in that hall. I really don't know. But for 13 years I hung a wreath on a cement mixer that sat inside the house. And we lived without a roof on the house for 5 months. We were under visqueen. And the monsoons came in May when he first started tearing the old roof off.
I only did one room at a time, so no big deal.
Yeah, easy for him to say, which is why I taught school, so I didn't have to stay home in it. But I am so happy that he, at almost 83, can have this award. It was his life's work. It really became his life's work. And as he became more and more handicapped, I was afraid that we'd both be gone.
Kept me out of a day job, so it had a...
But most of the work he did himself. He did have help from his twin brother Fritz, whose children are here today, and a younger brother David, like tearing the old roofs off. But as I say, I can't believe we lived that way, and I'm so proud of what he's done and what we have now. At the Brewer home located at 609 Jaycox, currently owned by Paula and George Serrata, be granted historic landmark designation and remains very close to the original with very few exterior changes. And whereas the foundation of the house is fieldstone and the interior cellar door is original, the beams are hand-hewn, and whereas one of the supporting pillars in the basement is a sturdy tree trunk with added supports, and whereas the historic preservation gives residents of our community a deeper sense of understanding and appreciation of Avon Lake heritage.
When we bought the house, it's been almost a little over 30 years ago. I knew, at the time, I didn't realize it was as old as it was. I thought we were like a couple years shy of owning a century home. And so, at the time, there was a historical society. I don't know if it was Avon or if it was more Lorain County had a historical society, but I had approached them about getting the house designated, and then this big recession came in, and pretty much the historical society that existed at the time went away. And they said, well, you can make your own sign for your house. Yeah, I could, but that's really what it means. So anyway, I was just thrilled when this, you guys started this up again and came to us. I just couldn't be happier. I'm very proud, and I'm glad that we have, contact with some of the original family that lived in the house. That means a lot to us. And like I said, we bought that house knowing they'll be dragging us out. Our kids will be dragging us out knowing we just love it, and it's our home. Thank you.